Hello and welcome to our 5th Leon County Humane Society Rescue podcast. Today we are going to go through, we just finished up our staff planning. So as we look ahead to 2025, we're going to look back on what we did well in 2024, what we could improve on in 2024. And as usual, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. Please know that poor Lisa, our fearless leader, is recovering from a cold. So if you hear coughing, that's just her, but she's so dedicated. She's still here for the podcast. My name is Katie Stryker. I am Director of Advocacy and Community Education.
I'm Courtney Kendrick. I'm the Volunteer Coordinator and Cat Adoption Specialist. Lisa Glunt, Executive Director.
April Ryder, Director of Operations.
Amy Raddar, the Director of Dog Program.
Lynne Raham, Financial Administrator.
And that's a new voice that you're hearing. That's the lovely Lynne, who joined our team last year and has been doing great working out finances with April. So to start, we'll go over some fun statistics. Tally Cat Cafe, 158 adoptions out of the 332 cat adoptions.
For real today.
Nice job.
So ever since Tally Cat opened, we've done about 50% of the cat adoptions, and this year was no different, although we're a little under. So you got to do more next year. But I don't think that was Tally Cat. It was a rough year for cats in general, and we'll get into that more. For dogs, though, dogs transferred in. There were over 550 dogs for intake last year and 400 cats for intake. So we came close to 1,000 animals saved again. But dogs transferred was 356. And we know that every dog that Amy transfers in is being rescued from almost certain euthanasia. So I think that number really shows the support that we offer to neighboring counties and how essential that is. Let's go over some weaknesses, areas that we want to improve on in 2024. I don't want to make Lisa talk, so I'm going to make April talk. What do you think is a weakness from 2024?
Definitely our largest experience was the panleukopenia cat. So when we had that intake, it kind of changed everything, and it exposed to us just how volatile rescue can be at any given point in time. And I think that we, in every weakness, there is a strength to be found. And I know that we found within ourselves better practices. We changed a lot of the way that we do things. But it really was a hard hit on many of our volunteers, our programs, our staff. It was just a really big weakness in general. It changed everything.
And we had to stop intake for several months. We had to stop volunteers for several months, which is why the cat number for this year was only 400. But I think, honestly, for stopping for that long and everything we went through, 400 is still great. And that's mostly on Lisa, because we also lost our cat coordinator right around that time, and we've been without one for about 6 months. So cat in general was a weak point for us. But we do have a bright spot on the horizon. We're adding a cat coordinator to our team next month. We were looking for a long time for somebody that would be great for that position, and Pam Luke kind of showed us exactly what we needed in terms of what we're looking for there. Again, I don't want to make poor Lisa talk, but we're looking for a tech experience, and so we're rescue-minded, because one of the things that Pam Luke taught us is how important it is for humane care and making sure that animals aren't suffering. So hopefully moving forward, we'll be able to take everything we took from that. Amy, I know that even though you're in dogs, the Pam Luke case was really hard for you. Is there anything you want to add on future practices and what we learned and all that?
I think the most important thing we walked away from was what you said, like knowing that we are not going to let cats suffer.
Can I hop in really quick while I have the words? Yeah. I do want to mention also, we did reach out to the best of the best in shelter medicine to make sure that when we were remedying that situation, taking care of the cats that we were taking care of, and working on cleaning sarcoidosis, will be spreading the disease to any of our in-house cats that we had at the time. He did reach out to the big dogs in shelter medicine, including Dr. Levy, who were at UF. And I mean, they were great support, and they basically said, you're doing everything right. You just need to get through it. So that was really at least reassuring to hear that there were things that we immediately put into place and we were on the right track. And even the vet teams that were working with us, we were able to teach them even because, small vet practices don't deal with these things like a shoulder or big rescue does.
Especially in the
Experience.
especially in the numbers that we had. Like, they're not, the private vets don't handle that volume of cats that have it all at one time. And one thing that super surprised me was like how protective I personally was over Smudge. Like, she hates me. She's hated me for years. She actively pursues me when I go in the room because early on, I was the one who had to take her to the vet, and Lisa and I had to give her shots every year. And when this all hit, the first thing that popped in my mind was, we need to get Smudge out of here. We need to protect her.
And we did it.
And we did. She's still kicking and full of, kicking and hating.
But also, in regard to the family issue, credit is very much due to you, Katie, and Courtney, because you guys were going through the routine, the cleaning, the care, and everything as well, and all the medications. Good gosh. The amount of medications we had, but had to administer. But at the same time, you guys are LCHS, but you're also co-owners of Tally Cat Cafe as well. So you have to be mindful that when leaving this place to go home, change clothes, clean up, make sure that nothing is spreading to another building. I think a stellar job was had here. I think we did a good job amongst the staff checking in with one another and saying, are you good one today, or do you need a break on that? So you guys do me credit with that. So I really think it's due there, because I didn't have to go home and deal with a bunch of cats at home, and then also deal with cats at a cafe as well. Population management was very mindful.
That was a lot of stress. I've got 7 cats at home, and the cafe, it would just devastate me. Silky, I think I worried about Silky in the same way that Amy worries about Smudge, but Silky loves me, so it's a little bit.
I know Amy was pulling extra shifts with the panleukopenia cats because she personally didn't have the risk of going home to cats at home at that time. So she really stepped up and took extra care to alleviate some of us. Like, I didn't go in because I had kittens in foster at the time, and I could have risked, their health. I did also want to mention that, there were a lot of expenses associated with the entire experience. Because these new protocols came along, we had to get things that we normally didn't have. A lot of equipment, mainly things like scales and brooms and tests, lots of expensive tests. Yes. And there were just certain things that we couldn't fundraise for. So we ended up having to spend that money that we normally would have relied upon, donations to cover. We had some real hefty expenses associated with it too, that weren't just medical.
We went through so much litter, so many pounds of litter.
Yeah, with protective equipment, even the gowns, the hoodies, the gloves.
Well, I don't want to start on Pan-Luke because literally I think that forever changed me. PTSD from Pan-Luke, because this is my 6th or 7th year with LCHS, and we just never encountered it. It had never come up. I know that it does come up a lot into their shelters, and they see it, and there are years where it's bad and years where you don't see it at all, but it hadn't actually popped up through LCHS, and it had me thinking, before my time here, I had fostered a kitten from Aquila, and thinking back even on those symptoms, I was like, oh gosh, was I looking at him back then? So definitely a lot of learning through that experience. And then another weakness we're going to have to talk about. Amy, just have one. Or do you want me to pick our next week?
You can pick our next week.
Next weakness.
I had so many this year, like just a plethora of them. Just pick one.
We'll go through pet food pantry next. I think that this is a strength of ours, but it's also a weakness. I feel like we're constantly low on cat food. And we also are seeing that how we're currently operating has room for improvement to make sure that we're offering support for people that genuinely need it. And the goal of Pet Pantry is to be sort of a bridge for people going through a rough spot that want to keep their animals in their homes and out of shelters and take that weight off of them. And we do have a plan going forward. April, do you want to talk a little bit about what Pet Food Pantry will look for?
Sure. We're going to revamp some of the way that people enroll in Pet Pantry, but more than anything, we're taking technology that we currently have, and we're building a place for Pet Pantry in that tracking system. So it's going to make it easier for us to all pull up the individuals, if they're recipients, pull them up, know where they're at any given point in time with the number of animals in their home, what we're supporting, what they still need to do to really have best practices, and then kind of track better what we're sending out. Now, we keep track, but it's not as readily available as it could be with this new system. So we're investing in that.
Like, we'd love to share with you how many hundreds of pounds of pet food we shared out, how many people that we helped, but that data isn't like as readily available as we'd like it to be. Speaking of how low the cat food is, though, in the Pet Food Pantry, in the info link at the bottom of this podcast, I will have our Amazon wish list for Pet Food Pantry. Or if you have any food that your cat has turned their nose up at, we would always take that, even open bags of food. We do serve dozens of people that need it every month, and then people come in every week that are in need of this service and are so grateful for it. I'm definitely looking forward to expanding Pet Pantry in 2025.
And even if somebody is listening and they're not necessarily the cat person, they identify as a dog person, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, not only helping the animals, they're helping the people behind it. And if you see some of the faces that we're able to see, especially a lot of the seniors, just knowing you're able to keep that person's pet with them and like, open up your eyes, because we do get a lot more donations for dogs in the Pet Pantry. We get a lot of cat lovers who are grateful for every bit that they get. For sure.
Then I think that we can pivot to more positives for strengths in 2024. We've already touched a little bit about how we were able to keep the cat program up, even though we went through Panloop again half a year without a cat coordinator. But I want to sort of put Courtney on the spot here, because Courtney has really impressive volunteer stats for this year. And even though she just started, you started in 2024, right? Only care lawyer.
I think it was maybe 4, yeah.
Yeah, but you've already revitalized the volunteer program, so I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, so this year we have recorded a total number of 179 individual volunteers. That does include our boards, but I mean, even that's less than 10 people, I think. So definitely over 150 volunteers for this year, with each volunteer averaging at about 26 hours per volunteer, which is super appreciated. It's very good for we have recorded over 4,700 hours of volunteering, which, I mean, when I compare it to the year before, I think we could have gone even higher, but there's this huge void in the summer during Canada that we have where obviously we weren't allowing volunteers in. So I feel like this year the data definitely got skewed, unfortunately, but I do feel confident in saying we have about 40 volunteers a month in and out of the building helping us out, which is super helpful. I do appreciate our volunteers. They definitely save my neck and all of our backs as well.
And especially the cat socializers.
Yes, cat socializing really took off this year, and I think we saw a much bigger jump in that around October. And I feel like that month especially, we had a lot of our cats become adoptable, like the ones that were hard to reach, the ones that were difficult for us to interact with and get well. I saw a huge uptick in just a change of personality and comfort levels with them, and they were able to get to a more adoptable state. And having that having that excess of cat people coming in and petting them, just hanging out with them for like an hour or two, which is basically all the criteria that you need to do cat socializing to really helps the cats.
That was a real lifesaver because right before Pan Luke hit, we took in, 12 cats for our boarding case. So they had to be properly socialized, and then we had to close the office down for Pan Luke and focus our attention on those cats. So there were cats that desperately needed that socialization and that just weren't getting it. So Courtney jumped in and got them getting everything that they needed, and now they've been adopted, and they're the ones that haven't been adopted yet are adoptable and are going to find their home soon, and we feel good about it, whereas before it was, I think, a weight on over us we were really worried about. And I think I've had all but 2 from the boarding house be adopted now. So I just have my last 2 now, and they're probably slated to become bar cats in a insulated and a air-conditioned bar. But it's barely a barn. That's about as, that's probably ideal for them. They're on a spoiled barn cat. And then their strength from 2024 is we got a lot of office improvements done. Shout out to April, making our office a space that works well for us. Do you want to talk a little bit about the upgrades that we got in 2024 and what we can look forward to in 2025?
Sure. We did some repairs. We found some areas that needed some replacing, like on our deck and our access ramp. But we are rebuilding the catio still as we speak. It's been a long time coming, and I think that's going to be one of our biggest improvements. Is just around the corner because the cats will get access to outside again, and they really do benefit from having that something to do, something great to do, and spend their day doing. Outside of that, it's been mostly just maintenance, and deferred maintenance catch up. So if there are
Stairs.
we do. We have new stairs and steps. We painted our walls. We're sitting around with some beautiful blue walls. We also have a nice green office. We got rid of any of the leak issues that we had in the past, so we can be proud of our building again. We've done a lot of deep cleaning. That's been great. And improvements to AC systems. All the very glamorous stuff that we like behind the scenes.
I'm impressed you get it all done because it's so much work to maintain this building and keep it operational and make sure that it works for what we need. It's no small task. I mean, yeah, and maintaining my own house is a challenge, but maintaining this house to be able to work for a humane society is a lot of work.
Yeah, and we put some organizational things into place that we had been intending to do for a while, and I think those are helping and making it's more about how it runs, right? So I think we're on track to be better. Yeah,
April's so good at the projects. Just gosh, if I see one little thing, I sometimes even hesitate to say what needs to be done because I'm like, oh no, she's going to turn this into a bigger thing. That'll be grandiose and better for us, but I'd be putting another thing on her plate.
thanks.
I will say my office is spectacular. Thank you so much. It was a complete and organized nightmare, but now it is, you know right where to go to get stuff. So very nice.
We jokingly call April our office dad. If something breaks, we go straight to April.
I'm so proud of that name now.
Thank you. Or if you need something.
We go to our office dad and we say, please fix.
I'll jumpstart the car too.
Yeah. Also, April, just while we're already making you talk,
Okay.
and Lynne, we'll turn to you. We added a financial administrator to our team, and her addition highlights all of the growth that LCHS has seen over the past few years. April, do you want to talk a little bit more about why her position was necessary? And then we'll have Lynne talk about how her first few months, if she wants, she's shaking her head right now. She didn't know.
Well, I know Lynne she's very much looking forward to singing our praises. So I'm not going to say much other than we noticed a gap. We noticed that there was just, I identified a position that needed to be done. We pay a lot of bills. We channel a lot of donations through this organization and out to vet clinics, getting all of our animal medical bills paid. In addition to that, there's a whole bunch of office stuff and customer service stuff that just needs doing, and Lynne has really picked up the reins on it.
And I will add that, piggybacking onto what April said, number one, the donations. I am so incredibly grateful, as I know all these ladies are, of the people who back us and our mission and what we do. And I see the generous donations, whether they're in kind or cash through Chewy or Amazon, and the same people and the new people. And in the short time, I feel very familiar with a lot of them. And I just think people are still good. And we are very fortunate. And the volunteers, the endless volunteers who help us do what we do every day. And lastly, as April acknowledged, I will sing the praises of every woman in this room because they are so remarkable and wonderful. And I'm very happy and blessed to be a part of this team.
And you are part of this team, and you are foster dog too. Yeah.
Little bit foster fail. Hopefully.
Foster fail.
Nice. Nice.
But I wouldn't change a thing.
Right.
Okay. Well, now we're going to get to some changes that we'll be making in 2025. The first one, I think, and I mean, this isn't really a change. We've kind of been doing this since COVID. And at first it was an essential because of COVID, but now we've realized how many benefits it has is doing adoptions by appointment and visiting the cats by appointment. You already have to visit dogs by appointment because they're in foster homes, and so are a lot of our cats, but we do have a few here at the office. Courtney is now our cat adoption specialist. Do you want to talk a little bit about the adoption process and what's sort of our goal for introducing people to their adopted cat?
Yeah, so it's important to first fill out an application, and that just gives us the best profile for you as far as matching you with a cat. There's, in addition to like some personal questions, there's kind of like a personality questionnaire where it's like, what are your expectations for a cat? And if you list a kitten, and then in the personality questionnaire part, you're listing, oh, I want somebody who can be left home alone for 8 hours and is kind of calm, not really boisterous. Then I can be like, hey, so you're looking at a kitten, but the personality is not really matching with what a kitten is. So let's try to see if we can steer you towards something that would be actually suited for what you're looking for. And then coming in to look at the animals before the application or even without appointment is a concern for disappointment, putting yourself in a situation where your expectations are that these kittens would be available for you. And in reality, I probably have scheduled appointments already set from every cat's building for people who have already kind of been matched with personalities of the cats in the building. And that's basically what we're getting at with having appointments, so that we start on the right page without getting set up for disappointment as far as the cats that are here. Sorry, I'm really horrible at talking.
Even right now, the noise in the background, a lot of it is smidgen, fickle, and Philly. They're not even adoptable yet. They're here because they're going to be spayed on Monday. So we're going to withhold food Sunday night, bring them into the vet, get them spayed, let them set up and recover. So if you came in right now and you were interested in one of those, you'd be disappointed because they're not ready to go home yet. You wouldn't be able to do that. And then same thing that Courtney was saying with the application. My favorite apps that come in are apps for smudge. And they're looking for a cat.
Definitely setting themselves up for disappointment.
But it's good.
It's a good way to put it. It's a good way to put it.
It's great when I see an app for smudge because they'll put in there that they're, they liked how she looks. She looks sweet to them, but they want someone really affectionate that will curl up in their lap. And that's just not smudge. But since we know that, we can reach out to you and say, hey, I saw this come in. I know what you're looking for. Did you know that you have this other cat who's also a calico, but super affectionate, super great. They're just in foster. So I'd love to set up a time for you to meet with them.
Can I say one thing about that? I think it's also really important for someone who knows the cats to be available to the people that walk in the door.
We want to be able to show you that.
And when Courtney isn't available and like right now, Courtney knows every cat in this program, probably, right? Yeah.
Who's writing for that?
So when she's not available and I try to answer the question as best I can, I also don't know the status of whether or not that cat has a pending adoption or anything. I could probably go look in a computer, but no one's going to be better to answer that question than somebody who's spent time with the cat and knows what the cat's all about. So I think it's a good move. It prevents the waste of time.
Yeah, we don't want to waste your time. We want to be able to match you with a pet that you're going to love, but we don't want you to walk around the building, fall in love, and face that disappointment when they're not available or they're not a good fit.
Courtney has really brought like a fire back to matchmaking for cats. Because I remember when I was at the shelter years ago, so this is like 12 plus years ago, that's when matchmaking really became a thing for shelters. And it kind of dissipated over the years because now more shelters are like, just get them out, just get them out. And so there's less of that matchmaking process and less of that counseling and education. But the beauty of it is, I don't know how many, like, she probably gets tired of me hearing this, but I'll come in the door and Courtney's like, so-and-so's getting adopted and so-and-so just left. And some of these cats are cats that would normally sit in our program for months because they may be the only cat and a little show off, a little saucy.
They don't quote show well.
But I just think that she's really good at identifying what a person wants and kind of selling it to them, like explaining, here's the thing. She's not going to show great for you right now because she doesn't love other cats. She smells all the other cats. But give her a week in your house. And then, people were sending her all these like little highlight reel, photos the next day saying it's working out perfectly. So there's an art to it. I think sadly it's kind of gone away from a lot of shelters and rescues. And there's a beauty that I see being brought back. That's honestly been like really exciting for me because right now down to the boarding cats, I assumed early on that at least half of those cats were going to become bar cats. And I could not believe how quickly they started coming around with the help of the socializer volunteers and then how quickly they started moving once given the chance. So it's an art that you've mastered.
Some magic, for sure.
People just need to understand, be a little patient with the process. You'll get what's best for you and hopefully it'll be a forever fit.
Yeah, I just working with cats for so many years now, it's almost 7 years now, and seeing like returns and stuff, it's just heartbreaking. And the whole goal is setting you up for success and setting a cat up for success because it's traumatic to be surrendered, and that doesn't make them set up for success in the future, and it also hurts my ability to sleep at night. So I like knowing that everyone's going to be happy, have a good happy ending. And if you aren't able to be patient with the process, and it doesn't sound like it will be a good fit anyways, because we're trying to find a good match. I'm not trying to just get cats out of the building. It's more important that they're lifelong matches to us than it is to get them out. And then other changes are mostly dog program related. I'm going to turn it over to Amy so she can explain why, in own words, how she sees the future of the dog program as what we're looking at in 2025.
For the dog program here, I don't really know. I just know I know a few absolutes. So this year it will change some because my situation is going to change. So my living situation will change. And because of that, it will impact the dogs. I will not, for a while, and maybe for good, I will not have the ability to take home problem dogs. And, as much as I try to know, assess, do all the checks and the balances for dogs that come into this program, because I think what people need to understand is this is not a shelter. We are 100% foster home based. And so you kind of have to know to the best of your ability what that household can tolerate and take. And sometimes the dogs coming in, we don't have that ability. And it changes, because everybody knows, the way a dog behaves in one household is sometimes a lot different when you put him in a different household. So a good example too is Dax. So we took Dax this year. Dax had been in four foster homes at least. One of them lasting like literally less than 24 hours. He is the sweetest dog and highly intelligent. But he was a year old and he came with his challenges, and I get it. Like, I get the fact that, when you're fostering, you want easy. It can't always be easy though, because of prior stuff these dogs have been through. So, after Dax had been in 4 or 5 foster homes, I actually even think he was adopted and returned. I can't remember right off the top of my head, but he came to my house. And for the last 12 years, I have had the setup to be able to do that, to take the difficult dogs, work with them, keep them safe. I've had that ability. I will not have that ability soon. So I guess I will have to be more choosy, extra choosy about what comes into the program and what this program can handle, because it's also going to be what the fosters can handle. So I just ask that we get, if you've ever thought about fostering, please think about it a little harder and maybe choose to give it a try. I will say it's hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard. However, it's very gratifying to see a dog that sometimes comes in completely broken. By just giving it some stabilization and some love, you make that dog into something different and save it and find it a forever home. I don't really know what it looks like. I can't be like super specific about what this year is going to bring. I just know that the dog program is going to have to change. And I know that I will have to, unfortunately, probably say no more to the more difficult dogs that usually I take them to my house.
And what does it look like like with Dax? Like, what would you do with him on a normal day? Like, you with Dax at home?
So Dax likes to jump fences, and he likes to go visit. And so, I have the ability to have the dogs with me at all times. Like, if I come to work, I bring them. If I'm home, they're with me. So if he goes out, I have like a foolproof setup, 2 pens at my house that we fixed where he could not get out of. So I didn't have to be with him right out there. But on the times I did not put him in that there, I was out there with him. Training, is a big deal. Just working with him, slowly working with him. Some dogs you can take in, and in 2 weeks, I'll have them ready to go to a new home, fix all their problems. I think Matilda that you guys met today is going to be one of those dogs. Dax was a little bit, he was different. He was just different. He wasn't mean. He loved everybody. He got along with everybody. There was never a dog or a cat that he met that he didn't like. Now, chickens was a different thing. Yeah, chickens were, and he wasn't malicious. He just wanted to play with them, kind of like a squeaky toy, play with them. And he had to learn that was a big no-no. So, but another example is Matilda. So Matilda, we took her in today, or she's been at the vet for a couple of days, but we were asked to take her in because a neighboring animal control is basically closing. They're not taking in any animals because their employees both resigned at the same time. So they literally have nobody to run this animal control. So they're shutting down. And they're trying to place all the animals. And I was reached out to and said, hey, can you take this dog? So I got different like definitions of her or descriptions of her. So when I get a dog in like that, before I put it into someone's home, I like to take it to my house for a couple of weeks just to figure out who that dog is. I got 2 different descriptions on Matilda, and I was like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm dealing with, and I need to figure it out. So Matilda's going to be fine, I think, but it could have not been that way. I have taken dogs into my house that people are like, you know, hey, this dog doesn't get along with dogs, or, it's really sketchy around people. In reality, all that dog needs is a stable place with some rules and boundaries, and to know that somebody's driving the bus, kind of like somebody's in charge. And so, and they turn around and they're great dogs, but you can't, sometimes I can't put those dogs into people's home without telling them. It's not fair to say, oh, hey, can you take this dog? I don't know if it gets along with dogs. I don't know if it likes kids. Don't know if it likes, cats. I don't know. But I think we're going to have to kind of steer away from that and just set fosters up to where they can, like me, keep that dog and everybody, safe. And it doesn't mean that dog's bad. It just means that dog needs just some decompression time.
I do think that there's a disconnect in foster expectations and rescue dogs. Like just the other day, somebody commented and said, how is this dog with small children? And I'm sure she's good with small children, but if you have the expectation that you're going to be able to take a dog into your house, just have them loose in your house with your small kids without setting boundaries, seeing how that dog is, keeping that dog separate, supervising those interactions for a while, you should not take that dog in. If you only want to take a dog in that's good with cats, even if we have been told that dog is good with cats, you should still be being careful. You should have that dog on a leash. You should be doing introductions. The idea, I think, that some people have for fosters that you can just sort of let the animal loose in your house and just what happens, happens.
You should absolutely never do that. That is the worst possible thing you can do. And not only that, it's not only the worst possible thing you can do for your family and your household, but also for that dog. That sends the completely wrong message to that dog.
Animals benefit from structure. Children benefit from structure. And you have to be prepared to offer that structure when you're taking in a foster dog. Since you will not be able to be doing that as much, do you want to sort of say what you think would be the ideal, like your ideal foster is step forward? What does that person look like?
Somebody who has realistic expectations, someone who has the ability to know what they're looking at a little bit with dogs. And, I get a lot of people that say, oh, I don't believe in crating. Okay, well, until you know that dog needs to be safe.
Why do you feel that way about crating,
Right. But that dog needs to be safe. It's not about what you feel about crating. It's about that dog being safe. Not only, I tell people all the time, I get it that you don't believe in crates or you don't like crates, but I don't like when our foster dog eats your computer cord and has to have a $2,500 surgery either, I would have rather that dog spend 4 hours in the crate. And
for some dogs, their crate is their safe space.
Absolutely.
It makes them feel good to have a spot that they can go to.
Yes. So
in Florida, a natural disaster, you need to be able to put your dog in a crate.
Yes. So that's literally that could be a whole nother podcast about crating. But somebody that has realistic expectations for dogs, and the fact that these dogs, what they've possibly been through, how many times their life has been uprooted, how many times they've been changed, and just to give them the time they need. Somebody that kind of knows what they're looking at, and somebody that's willing to kind of roll with the punches, so-and-so, this doesn't work, then we try this, I recently had put a dog in a foster home, and within not even 12 hours. And this dog had been to my house. And so I know this dog is a good dog. But within 12 hours, they called and said, oh, we can't do this. And at this point, I don't know, I've been doing this so long, I used to try to like figure it out and be like, well, can we try this or can we try that? Now I'm just like, all right, well, I'll meet you at the office to get the dog. Like, all right, what you going to do at this point? So I don't know what it looks like. I'm going to try to make it as less impactful on the dog, like the dog aspect of our rescue as possible.
And I think something to take away from all of that, if we're not able to take them in, Amy will look at transporting them and transferring them to another organization that is, somehow short on dogs and needs them to adopt out. So if you're not able to foster, if you listen to that and you thought to yourself, oh, I just can't do it. The people who do it are amazing, but I just can't do it. Sign up to be a transport volunteer. It could be a couple hours out of your month, and you could still be saving the life of a dog and helping us save more animals while not having to open your home to a dog if you're not comfortable with it. There are other ways to help and support.
For sure.
And now I'd like to go around and have each of us say one thing we're looking forward to in 2025. For me, I'll go first. I'm looking forward to having a cat coordinator. I'm very excited to welcome a new cat coordinator in. Oh, April has pointed out that I missed something on here.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to suggest streamlining the fostering process.
Yeah.
And I was excited about what Courtney's ideas were for.
Yeah, Courtney has a really exciting plan for fosters, and I think it ties right into what Amy was worried about for this year. Courtney, do you want to talk about your plans for?
Yeah, and that can count as my looking forward to. And look, I want to try to help Amy and also our future cat coordinator with onboarding new fosters. I think giving fosters a orientation of not only how we function, like our rescue, like introducing ourselves to them, but also introducing expectations on what it means to be a foster. Going over everything, basically what Amy just said about how we need to set these expectations of how to care for the foster, how to set them up for success, and do it safely for both yourself and your family and the dog as well, and the cat as well. But it would be kind of like a monthly, once a month orientation that we onboard like a new cohort of fosters, and hopefully this will set them up for a more a structured start or something like that. But also just getting in more fosters this year, hopefully, than previously.
I think it'll be really great to do that because, like you mentioned, they're coming in like as a group, a little covert. You could make friends in your little like foster orient group, and then you have other people that you know who are fostering, and sort of like a baby step into the foster group that we have, where you can look for support. You can have people that you know are in the same boat as you, and you can, form a little coalition that way. I think it will be really nice.
And that's super helpful for, like, for example, splitting up a litter of puppies, and you're all like comparing and contrasting how all the puppies are doing in your
If you need relief for a weekend, and a person that's able to help.
I think two of our fosters have been doing a fantabulous job of that by Dana and Lynne, Dana Brilliante and Lynne Barr. Not only do they tag team puppies, so they'll foster puppies kind of together to give each other a break, but I've seen them welcoming new fosters and really helping guide them through some roads, and that's really appreciated. So anyway, we're able to rein in some of our current veteran fosters and help them to kind of be the leaders for the new people coming in. I think they'll be helpful.
And did you see, Amy, I know that you did, the Chelsea Richardson relief for model baby fosters, just posting, just offering that up. Nobody was asking for relief. She just said, if somebody needs a couple of days off, we're willing to help. I love that.
I do. And I appreciate it.
So sweet.
Yeah, from someone who just did 3 like really sick bottle babies that I had to be up every 2 hours, like, and after like a couple of weeks, I was walking around dazed and confused. That is so, like, it hits your heart because, yeah, these guys that bottle feed, God bless them. they need just that one night a break, or 2 nights, 3 nights break is phenomenal. It gives you that break you need.
Yeah, you catch up on your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
April's. Oh, actually, no. Lisa's turn. Something you're looking forward to. 2020.
Okay, I'm very excited to say goodbye to 2024. I am very excited to be a cat coordinator in here again and be able to concentrate on what my job is mainly of sale. But I always leave our staff trainings excited about things to come. I'm really excited about streamlining the pet pantry because I see that as such a need and such a resource that our community utilizes. But it needs cleanup. We want to make sure when we're sending stuff out to people that we're sending it out, especially to those animals that only are spayed or neutered or that we're getting them done. And that's one of those things we've always prioritized, but the program is just growing. The need is growing. So I think being able to really put eyes on that. And then I think the educational aspect, Katie's really done a good job of educating, whether it's on dog, on the training methods and, why we use one method versus another for that dog, that individual animals kind of wanting in on the animals themselves. I come right on down to the importance of spaying and neutering because I think people have really gotten away from that and kind of lost track of how important that is. It's silly to even think we're here in 2025 having pound that into people's brains, but on the littering campaign last year, I thought the cat littering campaign.
Oh, it's terrible.
I liked that so much. And there was just a flood of information that came with it, and then right on down to the FIV cats. 6-7 years ago, I could not have imagined moving as many FIV positive cats as we do. It's almost like it's seamless now. The cafe has done a great job of educating people on what FIV is and how these animals can live just normal, happy lives, even with other cats. So there's little things that turn from one little target. It turns from one little educational piece into a big, broad thing that I see shared among others. And those are the kind of things that really kind of get me excited about things to come.
Well, it's so funny because there's always an animal that affects you so deeply that you have that it changes your opinion on stuff and it forces you to get educated on it. And if we're taking those animals that are personally affecting us and forcing us to learn, like Judy with his allergies, FIV cats for me, Hulk Hogan was the first one at the cat cafe, and I still think about him. But taking those lessons and broadcasting them to other people, because let's face it, we're not going to encounter it on a day-to-day. So taking the inspirational animals that we encounter and passing those lessons on is just really important to me, and I think to all of us.
Yeah, we do a good job of it. So that's something I'm excited about.
Okay, so I'm excited that I will be able to break away from being on the computer day to day and start to focus a little bit more on streamlining and polishing some of our policies and procedures, the things that we do around here, how we get it done. Just like Lisa said with the FIV cats, I remember being in a meeting about 3 years ago, and that was a goal. And we set that goal, and I've watched it happen. I've watched it come to a complete 180 on how we handled everything. And a lot of it is messaging and, perspective, but I'm excited that I'll have the time to focus a little bit more of my attention on the things that aren't getting our attention right now.
Good.
Amy, what have you been excited for?
Just change. I think that just changing things up a little bit. Also, just the general, I was talking to somebody yesterday and I was like, I consider myself extremely blessed because in this job, I have met some absolutely amazing, had the honor of meeting some amazing animals, have taught me a huge amount in my life, just huge. Dogs and cats, not just dogs. I've met some great cats that's taught me stuff. Sailor is one of the ones that also just has taught me so much. So that just, what is there to learn this year? What dog's going to come my way? What cat's going to come my way that's going to teach me something important, that I need to know. So, it just, I guess that for me. And of course, getting new staff and taking some burden off of everybody, and, it'll be good.
2025 better be the year Sailor gets adopted.
It will be the year Sailor gets adopted.
Somebody's gonna really, Sailor's very unique. She's a very unique cat. She is special. She's very smart.
Yes,
She is.
very.
I see so many different ways she could fit into someone's household. She just needs a person. It's more
That's
about
her.
the right
That's it.
person.
Yep.
Sure, security, and she's a really good cat.
Yep. She needs her person. She wants and needs her own little person, but she's a funny cat.
And a chair.
I was gonna say, don't give up that lap until she's ready for you to give up that.
Yeah.
Well, the other day I pulled my jacket off and left it in the chair. And so when I came back, she was all curled up in it, but I was cold. And so I was like, bro, I need my jacket back. And she just looked up at me like, no, you're not getting it. Not on your life. Like, leave it here. So, and I left it for her, and I just like, well, whatever. She's funny.
And Lynn, what are you excited about?
I'm looking forward to being more helpful and learning immense things from all of you. But one of the things I'm very excited about are some of the changes we talked about for Pet Pantry, and that everyone is suffering in the community with higher prices everywhere, and without giving any of our hopes and dreams away of what we want to see the Pet Pantry to come, I think our plans are for it to just be a bigger impact in the community. Because if you're feeling it to feed your kids, to feed yourself, to feed your mother, your parents, whatever it is, your pet, we don't want your pet to suffer for that. You love your pet like family. And so I'm very excited at us hopefully in small ways bringing about those changes that will have a big impact on the community.
I want to say one more that I'm surprised no one said.
Okay.
Springtime Tallahassee Parade.
Yeah.
Excited about that. Well,
I think it'll be fun. It'll be cute.
Oh, Lisa will make it fun. Oh, yeah.
I think you all should just be planning on attending right now.
yeah,
It'll be a show.
it will be epic. And maybe a little neon.
March 29th.
March 29. I'm already shopping now. Feel level.
Lisa can just go into her closet, pull something.
If you need Marty.
Because she's an 80s girl.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on our 5th Leon County Humane Society Rescue podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, guys.